And we're back here at the office. I'm Ralph Barker, sitting in for the delightful Brian Pritchard, who had another arrangement downtown with the governor and some other highly elected officials, some big to do. They're going to be swearing in some judges. Some for Superior Court up here. It start off the show here. I've got a good friend of mine, Jennifer Hazelton. We've known each other for, 2 or 3 years, Jennifer?
Yep.
We met up here at Oscar Pools when Joe McCutcheon had his television program up here. And Jennifer, just real quickly, she used to manage the on-air personalities for Fox News, worked for CNN, worked as an aide with Tom Graves, and she's very, very politically astute. And we talk regularly about what's going on in politics as well as business and other things. So, Jennifer, after this Super Tuesday, this last Super Tuesday this week, what's your impression of what's going on?
Well, I think the race is clarified, and on the Democratic side, Hillary has got this all but locked up. I think Bernie Sanders' moves this week, letting go 200 campaign staffers, is an indication that he realizes that the end is near for his campaign. On the Republican side, Donald Trump, again, you can't argue with the results. 5 states winning every single county, and all of those 5 states. He's right up the 1,000, just shy of 1,000 delegates. At this point in the race, it seems pretty clear to me that he's going to get across the finish line and get to that 1237 number that he needs.
Now, is that still numerically possible?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. I mean, he has certain things have to fall in his favor. It looks like he's going to get quite a few of those unbound delegates from Pennsylvania, over 30 of them. He's got the lead right now in the latest polls in Indiana. It's not a big lead. It's about 6 points, but he still has the lead there. He's looking good in California. He's looking good in New Mexico. New Jersey is going to be solid for him. So if things start breaking his way, Oregon and Washington are also looking like they're going to fall Trump's direction. So with all of that kind of pulled together, if you take out the unbound delegates in Pennsylvania, you take the rest of that, assuming it all goes Trump's way, he's going to be maybe 20 votes shy of 1237, and with the unbound delegates he's expected to get from Pennsylvania, that should be enough to get him to that
Okay,
number.
what's your impression of what Cruz did yesterday, announcing Fiorina as his running mate?
Boy, I get what Cruz was throwing a Hail Mary pass to the end zone with a couple seconds on the clock, so I get that. But here's what I don't quite get. Okay, first, it looks a little desperate. It looks like I can't do this on my own, so I'm going to throw something else at you to try to change your mind. The other thing, as much as I like Fiorina and have an enormous amount of respect for her as a candidate, I don't see what bang for Cruz's buck she gets him in Indiana. AP downsized their operations in Indiana, so Dobbs left Indiana, from HP, and she doesn't have any ties to Indiana. And then, she lost her Senate bid in California, which people regard as her home state, even though she really lives in Virginia. Yeah. So I don't really know what that gets Cruz. I think the only thing that he accomplished yesterday was he changed the conversation away from Trump's foreign policy speech to back to him for a minute. But I think he got maybe a day's worth of news out of it, and it's over now.
Well, it stirred up, and it certainly got the woman vote talked about again, in the sense that now we got another woman possibly in the race that would draw something away from Hillary. There are those out there that are going to vote for a woman just because she's a woman. That's not a good thing to do, but that's going to happen.
Well, people say that, but we don't have a lot of empirical evidence to show that that's true. And women are not the monolith that the political establishment would like to think they are compared to other sort of special groups, whether it's ethnic lines or religious lines. Women are not monolithic in how they vote.
I would kind of like to disagree a little bit. I lived in upstate New York, and I had a radio program up there, and Hillary was running for senator up there. And I asked women why they were voting for her. These were women who were involved with handguns. They belonged to gun clubs and, believed in the Second Amendment. And I said, why are you voting for Hillary? And they just looked at me and said, because she's a woman. And that made no sense.
Well,
and there are women that think that way.
There might be, but I don't think they're the majority. And
Not the majority, no.
In contrast to to what you're saying, in that race, when Hillary Clinton ran against Lazio ran a bad campaign, made it easy for her, and she was promising upstate New York, the moon and the stars. And so at that point, I think there were a lot of factors that played into why people voted for Hillary, both men and women alike. And I would bet you dollars to donuts that if you went back to those same people today, they would not be quite that upstate New York, western New York part of New York State that all went solidly for Trump. And I don't see Hillary having the same coattails there that she had back when she was trying to earn a Senate seat.
What do you think's going on behind the scenes there as far as Cruz? I mean, is he operating on his own, or is he colluding with the establishment trying to derail Trump? I mean, what do you think the motives are here?
Well, Ralph, that's the funny thing about all of this. So in a normal cycle, when somebody like Trump shows this amount of not only just winning states among the Republican electorate, but then also demonstrating crossover appeal from conservative Democrats, disenfranchised Democrats, and independents, the party would normally start putting pressure on the also-ran candidates to start getting out of the race and coalesce around the front-runner. That's what happens in a normal year.
Mm-hmm.
This time, it's not happening.
Not normal.
No, and the party is giving lip service publicly to, we're staying out of the process and we're not. But by staying out of the process, they're affecting the process, number one. But I honestly don't think behind the scenes they really are staying out of the process. Cruz and Kasich are still in because the party is letting them be in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's very different about this election. Normally, they'd be circling the wagons by now.
Yeah.
What about the theory that Ted Cruz is a Canadian citizen and that there are some lawsuits pending about that? And do you think that the powers that be in the Republican Party, if they can knock Trump out, will then turn against Cruz?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, I think Cruz's being born in Canada is a very real issue for him. It hasn't gotten a ton of traction yet. Trump did try to make it an issue. He got a little bit with it, but not very far. But it hasn't been adjudicated, and there are very strong arguments from both sides of that case that are valid legal arguments. And if you kind of go back, if you use Cruz's logic on why he's eligible, then the whole furor over where Obama was born should never have been an issue, because it's indisputed that Obama's mother was born in Canada. And if you use Cruz's logic, then Obama should have been eligible no matter where he was born through his citizenship that he got from his mother. And then it also bears the question, why did John McCain in 2008 have to go and get a federal court ruling that said his birth on a naval base in Panama was considered American soil? So I think there are a lot of real holes in Cruz's argument that the Democrats, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Cruz is going to be the nominee, but if by some chance I'm wrong and he is, the Democrats, I think, will make an issue of it. And the two cases, there's one in Texas and I think one in New Jersey, that they will go forward. And what the timing of the court cases, of course, the wheels of justice grind slowly. So I don't know how the timing would affect the election. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
What kind of was unusual, I thought, and kind of scary in a way, is when this whole thing with Obama came up in his birth certificate, it's like nobody had the responsibility or the authority to rule on it. So, I mean, if someone does run who's not a U.S. citizen, who stops them?
Well, the courts are supposed to.
But they didn't.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, but again, I mean, that's a whole different, the tide was with Obama. Pretty much. The establishment party said he was, that was sort of a situation where the country was moving in that direction at that time, and it was sort of an unstoppable force. Yeah. I'm not justifying it.
No, that's what happened. That's what happened. Well, listen, we're going to have to let you go, but I know you're going to come back as a guest here in person soon, hopefully in the next week or two. So I just wanted to give the folks here a preview of your great knowledge of political things, and I always enjoy talking to you, and hope to see you soon. But I'll give you a call back later on, and we'll set up a time for you to come up and be on the program with Brian.
That sounds great. I enjoyed it, guys. Have a
Okay.
great day.
You take care.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, Jennifer was on the Georgia gang just a couple of weeks ago. She's kind of a standby now for that. Yeah, I saw her debut on there, and she did a great job. So she's just amazing to talk to. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of our favorite things, airplanes. And actually, my favorite airplane is the F-22 Raptor.
Have you seen it fly?
Yeah, I have.
Slow speed.
No, I haven't seen the slow speed. I've just seen it fly around Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, I went to an air show. I forgot where it was. We were living in Virginia at the time, so it was somewhere around Virginia. And the F-22 Raptor was flying. And this airplane, the maneuverability of this airplane, it's like Superman. You know, I mean, Superman can take off and fly and twist and turn and stop in midair and turn here and turn there. The F-22 Raptor, it's taking off from the runway. All of a sudden, the nose goes up, and the thing just goes into super flight and almost disappears on you. And then, you know, when it's flying around in the air, when it goes up, it can stop. It can even start to slide back down, and then it will level off. You cannot put it into what they called in that movie that Ted Cruz made, a flat spin.
You can't put it in flat spin.
You can't do that with this aircraft.
That's good. You don't want to be in a flat spin.
No, you saw what happened in that movie.
Yeah, I know what happens
died
on
from
flat
that.
spins, yeah.
Anyway, the other thing with that aircraft, when it's in this slow speed, it can turn to the right, it can turn to the left at a slow speed. And its maneuverability, when you watch it, it's like poetry in motion or something. It's beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful aircraft, and I think you had said I hadn't heard those figures before, but there was some test, some test they went through.
I have
and
some of these. I think I have them somewhere that I brought
there's
in.
no aircraft in the world that anybody has that comes close to this aircraft.
Right. There was.
I wish we had a picture
there's
of it. I don't
two
have
of
a
them.
picture of it.
There's two of them that come close, and I'll get to that in a minute. But they had the F-22 Raptor was fighting. I'm not sure. It may have been F-15s, F-16s, but they had the mock battles, and it had 108 kills to 0. The F-22 was not killed. And one of the interesting things.
Lonnie, we don't have a picture, do we, of the F-22? Yeah,
This
let's get a picture up
little
of the
thing
F-22. This is
here-
just a gorgeous aircraft.
It is. It's absolutely.
If you don't know aircrafts very well, you could be fooled and think the F-35 is the Raptor. They look so much alike, except that's the double engine, and the F-35's got one engine and it's smaller. This is a big aircraft. When you see the F-16 flying next to it, which they used to do here in Atlanta, it almost looked like a gnat next to this thing.
Well, when we were in Germany, my husband was at a base, and they had the F-16s coming in. 3 squadrons came in, and they had the hunter-killer combination with the F-4, and it looked tiny next to the F-4.
Well, F-4
too.
is small, yeah.
Well, the F-4 was bigger than the F-16, but the F-16 looked small next to the F-4.
Okay, the F-4 is bigger than the F-16?
Yeah.
And I've never seen them on the ground together or side by side. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a smaller aircraft.
Yeah.
That was the one they used in Vietnam most of the time with the
Right.
down elevators, the V elevators down. It was a major. Got one? Yeah. They've got the Raptor up there. You can look at this aircraft. It's just it's beauty in motion. Like you say, seeing it fly is just awesome.
Yeah, and then the things that are on this airplane, advanced stealth enables 24/7 operations while remaining virtually undetected by enemy forces. Super cruise speeds greater than Mach 1.5 without afterburners.
Without afterburners.
Without
That's moving,
afterburners.
folks. And by the way, Mach means going the speed of sound. I think it's sea level, which is 760 miles per hour. So you're talking 1,500 miles an hour cruising speed without even kicking in the afterburners. What's the afterburner speed? Does it give a max speed on it?
No,
It's probably over 2.
it
It's probably
says
over
it
Mach 2.
enhances survivability and lethality, because evidently when you're in afterburners, you don't have the same kind of control that you do when you're just in the super cruise speed. Extreme fighter agility, allows outmaneuvering through acceleration and razor-sharp turns. I'm telling you, this plane can turn like Superman, because Superman gets up there and he just twists and turns and does whatever he wants.
Maybe
And
they
this
need to put the emblem on those
plane.
planes. Have that
Yes,
Superman emblem.
Superman, yes.
Remember when we were kids, I mean, when I was a kid anyway, and probably when you were a kid, it wasn't that unusual to be able to hear the sonic boom. They didn't have laws against it, and you'd hear it.
Oh,
And
I heard sonic booms,
yeah,
trust me.
they're scary if you don't know what they are. I mean, it's a boom.
When I first married my husband, he was stationed in Goldsboro, North Carolina. The F-4s were over there for the Pueblo incident.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came back, we all went down to the flight line to see him, and I was walking between two hangars.
Right.
And the thing most people don't realize, the plane is overhead and gone, and then you hear the sonic
Right.
boom.
Right.
I was sure I'd been bombed and was dead. I screamed. I was terrified. You know, it was because you don't see the planes coming.
No.
All of a sudden they're gone, and there's this boom, and you go, oh, "I've been bombed."
When I was in my first assignment in the military was Grand Forks, North Dakota. I'm a Southern boy. I didn't even know it got below zero in America. It was like 30 and 40 below zero. And I worked the switchboard for a whole SAC base. We were short-handed. I was a little airman two-striper, and I had the whole switchboard and a lot of the other command communication centers there by myself. And I remember one time I got a call, and this guy, we had a plane go over and do a sonic boom. And this guy was calling to complain. He says, one of your planes come over here, one of those sonic booms, and I had just painted my shed green, and now it's yellow. Now, I don't know what in the world that means, but I never heard of that before.
I don't know either.
I don't even think he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But sonic booms are disturbing.
But the information fusion in this airplane generates 360-degree battle space awareness for the pilot.
Yeah.
Total battle space awareness. Joint force enabler ensures future air dominance for joint and coalition forces. But the one thing, they had, like I say, they have these mock battles. And this one pilot, an RAF squadron leader, in an exchange with fighting the F-15s in the 65th Aggressor Squadron, it won't let me put a weapon system on it. He's referring to the F-22. Even when I see it visually through the canopy, I can't put a weapon system on it. And
Really?
isn't that amazing? Isn't that stealth capability
That is amazing. I didn't know that about the F-22, although I love the aircraft. Do you like all aircraft? I mean, you're interested in aircraft, or you just this one catch your attention?
Do you know Fat Albert?
Mm-mm.
You don't know Fat Albert?
No, where's he?
C-5A.
Huh?
C-5A.
Oh, that's called Fat Albert?
Yes, it is. I wrote on him. In him.
We used to call it the aluminum overcast.
It's a football field in motion.
Yeah, it's big.
You know,
You
I
like
wrote
it?
on him. And then there was another plane we caught a hop on out of Maryland. And we get to the end of the runway, and the guy stands up in front, and you know how on civilian aircraft they get up and they want to give you a speech?
Oh, yeah.
This guy said, how many people were not told that this is an in-flight refueling mission? Now, I hate flying.
Oh, you
okay? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I will get on airplanes, because I feel safe in the military. I grip my chair, I go, I want to get off, Pete, let me get off. Do you think you'll let me with this airplane? My husband was trying to keep me calm down. But do you know what it's like to ride in an aircraft while it's being refueled?
Can't say I do.
You have 45 minutes of turbulence. And if you're already petrified, I was sitting there, my knuckles were white from gripping the seat. I was practicing deep breathing exercises to try and keep calm. It's an incredible thing that they do to take that boomer. You have two planes flying
right.
in close contact.
Right.
So you've got the turbulence.
What kind of plane were you in? You were in
I can't remember. It was some kind of transport plane.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
It wasn't Fat Albert.
No, probably a C-130 maybe.
It might have been. And anyway, it takes an incredible amount of skill to hook these planes up and refuel in midair. And I tell you, it was scary for me.
Well, that'd be an unusual experience. I started flying airplanes when I was 14. Soloed when I was 16, and I've loved aircraft, all my life. And it used to be I knew everything in the air. There's some new things out there. I'm not for the private sector aircraft. I'm not real familiar with, but yeah, airplanes. I've actually got to fly the Goodyear blimp. I got to pilot it.
Oh, that's
I did.
interesting.
I've done about, I've skydived, I've flown in biplanes, open cockpit, Learjets, helicopters, not much I hadn't done. I hadn't done hang gliding yet. I got to do hang gliding.
My husband got to ride in an F4.
Wow,
He
I'd
was a
love to
crew
do that.
chief.
I
He
would
was a
love to do
crew
that.
chief, and we were stationed. This was in North Carolina, I believe, and he had an opportunity to go up. They were going to do a flyover by Washington D.C., and so he got to ride in the back seat. And he said it was just incredible. And the pilot let him fly for a little while.
Right.
And then the pilot said to him, "Are you going to turn this plane upside right anytime soon?" He didn't realize when he was up in the air.
I have not done acrobatics yet either. That's something else I wanted to do. Just to, it's funny. When I was a kid, I was scared of everything. I mean, roller coasters. Now I'm just not scared of anything. I don't know what happened. I'm having my childhood now. I think I want to do more of these outside the box things. I'm an outside the box thinker anyway, so I'm living outside the box. And we just got about a minute left or so.
Yeah,
Is there
I
anything
just
you want to
wanted
wrap up
to
with?
bring this up because
Okay.
the House is looking at the F-22s again. They stopped the production because they were expensive.
Right.
And they're looking at starting them up. And they are also thinking about starting up with the F-35s. I wanted to have a chance to talk about the F-35s because there's major, major problems with the F-35. And with the capability of the F-22, I think we should focus on building that for now and forget this F-35. They have to go back to the drawing board because there's a thing in here that all of the F-35s already built will have to be extensively overhauled to meet its minimum performance targets. So I think we need to scrap the F-35 until they get their act together with it.
That makes sense to me, of course.
But the Raptor is wonderful, and I'm hoping that they will, I think it was Lockheed Martin, and they were down here in Marietta where they were building the Raptor. They put their things that they used to build it in storage so it can start up.
And we got to get out of here. But thank
We
you
gotta
so
go.
much for coming in. Thanks, Brian, for letting me sit in for you today. It's been a ball.
Thank you,
Look forward
Brian.
to coming back.
We've had
And
too much fun.
come back from the office in the morning. Brian will be right back. So God bless everybody. Have a good day.